Hello, my friend. Are you ready to have more clients? I'm your host, Debbie Shadid. I am a master at building businesses. I can help you get more clients with super simple strategies. Plus, I can help you with a mindset so you can overcome the drama and the doubt. So let's get started. Oh, hello, Jane. Welcome to the Women's Business Success Show. You guys, I've got a treat for you this month. In the month of February, I am going to be featuring my clients each week. They are all coaches coaching in different niches. We're going to be talking about what brought them to coaching, why they decided to launch their businesses, and how we started working together. Plus, I'm going to make sure that you know how you can work with them in the future. So this week, we're going to be talking to Jane. Hi, Jane. Will you take a minute and introduce yourself before we get started?
Sure. Hi, Debbie. My name's Jane Stinson, and I coach aspiring writers to write their first book. I'm also financial crimes investigator during the day. I'm a self-published author of 10 books. I have 2 kids, so I know about how it is to be writing and still doing all those things.
Oh my gosh, Jane, I honestly did not know. I knew you were in the banking business, but I did not know that's what you did.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a whole nother conversation. Well, okay. So tell me, what brought you to life coaching to begin with? I assume you came because you were interested for yourself before you became a coach.
Yeah. So I started listening to Brooke Castillo sometime in 2018, and I just fell in love with the idea that I could change my life by changing my thoughts and how that was affecting my results. So I listened to her podcast religiously. And in 2019, I stepped into her program, Self-Coaching Scholars, and it was just life-changing for me. I had always wanted to be an author and just always took a running start, never really got anywhere with it. And after I've been following Brooke for a while, it occurred to me, oh, I have a life coach. Maybe I could have a writing coach, and that would make a difference. At that point, I was like 50,000 words into a novel that I was just felt like wasn't going anywhere. So I hired a writing coach. And from there, I wrote my next 6 books. So that's how life coaching has showed up for me. It has like totally opened doors to what's possible.
Oh my gosh, that's so fun. So after you discovered that, you worked with your own writing coach.
Yes.
And why did you decide to build a business to help people learn how to write?
Yeah. In following Brooke, she had a podcast about a writer's retreat, and I listened to it and I was like, oh, that's for me. 100%. I have got to be running writer's retreats. And so at that point, it kind of got into the back of my mind at some point. I think I'm going to be a coach. And that belief just grew stronger. As I was writing, it was something I wasn't quite ready to step into in like 2019. But in 2020, the opportunity kind of presented itself. And I was like, oh, now is the time. So I joined certification and decided to become a life coach.
So what was it that mindset wise made you see that you could become a coach and that the mindset part, I know we're going to talk about a lot of things here today, but just initially tell me why you thought the mindset, the life coaching part was important in the actual writing coach part to add those two together. Why did you decide to do that?
I had to believe it was possible to write a book. And so when I started coaching with my writing coach, he's a 6-figure earner. He's a bestseller. He's self-published. So he was representative of the things that I was wanting to do. So that made it much easier to write. And then to have, with his like encouragement or help in realigning, if I got a little off track, I was like, oh, I'm feeling a little stuck. And he'd be able to identify, oh, hey, I think you're getting a little away from your genre. Let's realign. And so I had fairly minimal contact with him every few months for about 20 minutes.
Wow.
And it was really impacting, right? Because I had the drive to do it. After I self-published, I put my first book out like the same week that the world shut down for COVID. In hindsight, I didn't really know that was happening at the same time, but I didn't make as big of a splash as I would have hoped. And so my heart was kind of hurting. And I was feeling a little defeated as I had just self-published 6 books, right? I connected with a new writing coach, and her belief helped me believe. She could look at me and see, oh yeah, 100%. You wrote 6 books. This is so possible. And then that lifted me up in a way that I could keep going.
Oh, interesting. So Let's talk about the actual work that you do a little
Mhm.
bit. And tell me, what is the most important thing to consider if somebody wants to write a novel?
Mhm.
Where do we start? What's the most important thing to consider?
So I work with many aspiring writers, right? They've always had the dream that they've been holding on to of wanting to write a book. Many of them have the idea pretty well fleshed out and they've been carrying it for a long time. And so getting to hear that is really fun in itself. I have a framework that I use. It's very simple for doing a simple outline of the novel. And we talk a lot about the character arc. Where does your character start and where does your character end? To me, just falling in love with this main character is kind of the place where the story's born. You're stepping into like the most pivotal moment in this character's life. It's the most transformational moment they've ever had. And it could be bad and it could be great, but that's where we start the story. And then we get to see where they go from there. And so we talk a lot about our main character, who's the hero of our story and how that journey goes. And then from there, my writers are kind of the hero of their own story, right? And so I help them breathe belief into what they're writing is possible. And then, well, many times we're walking through that process. They don't need as much coaching on story as they do about their thoughts about how the writing's going and how do I find the time. And when I get a little overwhelmed, how do I keep going?
I cannot imagine, Jane, and I'm sure that you know, but it seems like everybody wants to write a book. They've had this sort of deep desire. So if you guys are listening to the podcast today, I think you should listen to what Jane's going to be able to tell you about her process. But there's a lot of people. I mean, how many people actually want to write a book? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would say about 80% of the people I talk to are like, oh, I always have a book in me. I always wanted to write a book. Yeah,
I have
it's
a book.
lot.
Yeah, that's what I hear. Yeah. So are you saying that the most important thing when you're starting to write that novel is what you were just talking about, that character?
Yeah, connecting to the main character is kind of where we step into the story. But I would say, as deciding you're going to be the novelist that writes that novel, you're going to step into your author identity. I would say belief in that it's possible. And that's where the life coaching comes in. We get down to brass tacks on the story, but we also are going to really dig into the idea that this is possible for you to write a story. And most people get stopped at the door there. They're like, oh, I want to write a book, but it just seems too hard. It just seems too big. I don't know what to do. And then from there, there's never that first step. And so I help them step in, no matter where they're stepping in. It doesn't matter if you've given it, like I had, a number of running tries, or if you have never done this before. It's the belief that it's possible. To me, that's the most important thing.
So that really is a key to the work that you do, as you said, although you have the method for the Muse Method, as we call it, for writing. But really, this mindset piece is the part where you have to keep maybe revisiting to the future person who is the author who is already published. Is that what they're stepping into?
Yeah. I mean, it's building that identity, right? I have writers that would be afraid to even share with close family members. Like I have one lady that didn't even want to tell her mom that she was writing a book. They're afraid to even share that piece. And I've been there. I write erotica under a pen name. And so sharing that with the PTA wasn't something I was ready to do. So I understand that feeling, or not being able to really believe myself that I was doing that. And so I couldn't really tolerate anyone else looking at me with that look like what I was imagined they were thinking. Who does she think she is going to write a novel? What do you mean you're an erotic author? Come on. We build that up. We start thinking better thoughts than who do I think I am to write that book? I'm no good at this. I'm not good enough. Those are the kind of underlying thoughts that chip away at the belief, and we dispel those. We remove those.
So this community aspect of what you do in your coaching business must be, as you're talking about that, really a big part of sort of helping all of that come together. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, having a community of writers around you is really powerful. Just this last year. So I did a program in November that ran alongside NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writing Month, where you're supposed to, the idea is to write 50,000 words. You write a novel in a month. And so I did a November novel as a way to support writers already participating in NaNoWriMo. And from that point, I think there were a number of us, and there were 6 books written, right? My writing coach finished a book. I finished a book, a couple of my clients finished books, that 6 books. And so it's pretty incredible to be around other writers who are saying, I finished a book and I finished a book and I got the end of my book. It shows you like, oh, you can hit the finish line. You can get to the end. It is possible. And you're experiencing all those, like, this is really a hard week, or this is such a great success. And you know exactly what they're talking about. I had never had a community of authors around me before I joined on with my writing coach. And then to see, oh, this is normal. It normalizes it. It makes it just like, oh, I'm going to the bank and surrounded by hundreds of bankers. Oh, I'm going to coaching. I'm surrounded by authors. It makes it seem like something that's just matter of fact, perfectly fine. We're just writing a novel today.
A novel in a month. So you guys, I worked with Jane as her business coach in helping her. I was fortunate to help her develop this program that she's talking about. But what I want to say about this is when we were looking at developing this November, write a novel in November, we first bumped up against Thanksgiving week. And it was like, oh, geez, actually, people are going to be gone for Thanksgiving. How's this going to work? And what's interesting about that is you had a way right around that. And I want to talk about just what's possible, because 6 people wrote books in November using your method with your coaching. And they also had Thanksgiving. Some people traveled, some people had hosted it at their house, and they finished their book. So tell us about how busy you are on a regular basis. And you also wrote all these books, just like you're able to help people in your community finish a book quickly.
Sure. So because being an author requires an investment of time, and that investment is going to come as a return down the road, but at first I need a day job to make sure I've got groceries and a house and a roof over our head. But I have 2 kids. I work a full-time job. I have a wonderful husband. And so for me, when I knew that this dream of writing was something that and being that author was something that I was going to do, I had to find a place for that to fit, right? I had to make space in my day. And so my girls are a little older now, but when they were younger, I would write. I called myself like a midnight writer. So I would write after they fell asleep. And sometimes I would fall asleep writing, and sometimes I would just, churn out 2,000 words. But I worked to find a time when I would be kind of more uninterruptible. So they got a little older and they like to sleep in. They're teenagers now, but I write in the early morning because they are not getting up at 5 or 4 to come and tell me something. So that's when I like to write. Everything in my world's quiet those times. And it was just always worth the exchange. I don't mind going to bed a little earlier. I have 10 books to show for it. So it was worth it. I always knew it was worth it before I had even one book.
Okay, let's stop and absorb that a minute. 10 books in how much time, Jane?
So I started writing seriously with my writing coach in June of 2019.
Okay,
so,
guys, hear this? This is January. If you listen to the replay, this is January 2022.
Yeah.
So Jane wrote 10 books, works full time, is married, has 2 kids, and I'm sure she does plenty of other things like shop for groceries, exercise, make dinner, and you guys, she still did it. So what is the secret to you helping clients find the time to be able to write a book?
What's my secret to helping them find the time? Well, we have to find where it fits for their lives, right? And so we look at their calendar. What works for me doesn't necessarily work for someone else. I have this sweet little mama who's got a 2-year-old baby, and she does not want to get up in the morning. She likes to write at night. So my schedule we don't have a cookie cutter approach. My schedule would not work for her, but we look for ways to make it easy, to find uninterruptible time for them, to find out what works for them. And lots of times once they see the momentum, like if I write 4 days a week and I can write 500 words in 30 minutes, number one, that's totally possible. And then we start figuring out, okay, so if I'm going to write this type of genre, it's going to be this many words, and then I need to write this many hours to fill it. Then they're like, wait a minute, I could write a book, like writing 4 times a week for 30 minutes, and I could have it done in 6 months. This math becomes very doable. It's no longer like, oh, it'll take me probably 3 years to write a book. It's never going to happen. And once they see that, then the ease of finding that time seems to slot right in, right? I can find 2 hours a week to write, and then it becomes like building on itself.
I think that's what I was most surprised about when you were explaining, like, somebody could sit down and write 15 or 20 minutes. And to me, it's like, if my thought was to write a book, I would think like it's going to take so much time. And yet that's not very much time.
Yeah.
That you actually need to do it. And the piece that makes that so much easier is when you have a coach. This is with any kind of coaching, you guys. When you have a coach who already is an expert and who's already done this 10 times, like Jane, she knows how to do this. And when she tells you how to do it and then shows you how to do it, tells you what to expect, gives you the mindset tricks to sort of keep you on track, then writing in a short amount of time, I'm sure can be much more effective.
100%. Well, and usually when you have bite sizes, you're not resistant, you're looking forward to it. Oh, it's my writing time. And you're writing more. That's what I find. When my clients are like, you mean I could have this done in 6 months, or I could have a novel written in a year? Then they're like, hold on, I could do it this much faster if I was just to add 2 days or extend my writing period. You know, it starts to draw on itself. You get close to that story, you want to do it more. And so what I find is, even though we start by stepping in with bite sizes, like the momentum builds on itself and the writing begins to flow at a much faster pace.
I want you to share your secrets about how you help make this really easy for people, but you obviously do it well. If 6 people wrote a book in 30 days, but when a client is really stuck, kind of what's your coaching approach, or how do you work with people to get them past this, I don't know, what is this writer's block?
Yeah. So we need to look at what the problem is, right? And so again, it's like not a cookie cutter approach stopping you. Just like my writing coach was able to say to me, oh, I think you're mixing genres. Well, he just knew enough to know I was a little off track there. And so that's what I do with my clients. If she's saying, like I visited with a gal a couple of weeks ago and she was talking about the love interest is boring. And so then we talked about, well, how do you make the love interest not boring? You can't be bored by your love interest. My God, you get to create him. So you get to fall in love with this woman's husband. If or boyfriend or love interest or whatever, you have to figure out where the resistance is. And I help do that, right? So if it's, I just don't have the time, I just can't find the time, I just don't know where to start, then we're just breaking that down into bite-sized pieces and we're going to like break through it. It's honestly, it's more like bursting bubbles, right? Because when you really are able to get down to it, that sense of overwhelm is just a feeling. And if we can just like determine the next best step, the next bite-sized action, then it feels so much easier to do it. And with someone backing you and believing that it's possible, it's much easier to take steps into what you don't know.
Oh my gosh. Again, that's the value of having a coach, you guys, is that somebody else can put their eyes on what you're doing and see what you can't see and really can guide you out of that. So tell me about some of the people that you've worked with that maybe have tried to write a book.
Sure.
And now that you've been able to help with them with the Muse Method and with the mindset piece, what is the different kind of result or success? I don't know. Can you share a story without sharing their details?
Of course. So we didn't have 6 books born in a month, but we had 6 books born over a few months. So I would say, I just want to kind of remedy that. But I did have a lady who has come into NaNoWriMo 7 years running. And she said that every year she came with the title. She knew the story. When I first visited with her, she knew exactly what she wanted to write, but she told me she'd never gotten further than the title. And she wrote 62,000 words in November. And she did that through writing and some not writing days. She did it through like total flow and ease and some complete discomfort, some procrastination. And like, she was telling me like, I had to clean, my office. I went through all my books. She did all this like decluttering and stuff like that. She runs a large business herself. You can be very busy, but she had decided, I'm going to try this. I'm going to really go all in for myself. And she totally did it. And what she said was that it was those coaching pieces. She attributed it to the coaching, to be able to come and say, I feel stuck here, or I feel stuck here. It wasn't always the same thing of being stuck, but that just helped her keep the forward momentum, where without the coaching, probably would have got stopped closer to the door, right? I feel overwhelmed. I don't know what to do. I'm not doing the next step.
I want to clarify this so I understand. She did that 7 times, you said, but not with your coaching. It was the last time that she worked with you in your program. So she'd been attempting to do it on her own every year as part of the challenge and was unsuccessful until she worked with you. Okay.
Yes. And I would just like to say, so this sweet woman, I asked her if I could feature her, and she said, you bet. And so I had written up a little thing for her to approve. And she said, the part you didn't say is that I'd done this 7 years running, but with your help, I was able to write the novel. She said I couldn't have done it without the coaching. So I thought that was really nice.
Oh my gosh, so sweet. So I want to know, when somebody finishes a book or when somebody makes this accomplishment, what changes about the person?
A lot of times it's a dream you've been carrying for so long. So getting to the end of that story, it clears things that you don't even know. If you've never been able to get past the idea that I wish I could write a book, I want to write a book, and then you carry it, it's like this heavy thing in your purse. And all of a sudden it's not there anymore. All of a sudden it's like, oh, well, now that's done. And so it opens up the door for what's next. What do you want to do with that book? Do you want to traditionally publish? Are you just glad you wrote it? Do you want to put it in a drawer? Do you want to give it to your child as a love letter? What was the purpose of the book? And then there's an opportunity. The best part is, once you've kind of gone through the process with me, now you know how to do it. It's duplicatable, right? I mean, you might write the next novel in a little bit of a different way. You've learned some lessons, but you've got that skill set now. You're an author, period.
Tell me about how else you help people be on this writing place. I mean, there's all kinds of writing things. I know you give them strategies, and they're stuck on not being good enough, and you assess their work and all those things. But after their book is done, you mentioned self-publishing, traditional publishing, but let's just say somebody wants to go on Amazon and tell me a little bit, just don't give away all the secrets, but tell me a little bit about how you know about getting a book to #1 there, right? Yeah.
When I launched my book the first time and I didn't make as big a splash as I wanted, what I have learned is how to take that book to #1. So, and it's fun because I know how to duplicate it. So I have run promotions a number of times. And as long as I'm running the promotion, my book stays at #1 on Amazon, which is pretty outstanding. But yeah, I mean, I can walk through that process of how do you get a launch team so you have reviews on the first day that book is available for the world, and how do you have the right cover, and how do you get the title that grabs the reader, and how do you which companies are good to run a promotion through, and all these kind of things. So it might seem like a lot of pieces, but there's a simple process to it. So I can certainly help with that.
For some of the coaches that might be listening, they could write a book on what topic?
I know for me, I just wrote a mindset book. It's called Book by Book. It'll be launching in, I don't know, maybe 8 weeks, but it's a kind of an introduction to working with me. It's a book that can stand alone if maybe you're not ready for coaching, but you just want something to read. I've come to different teachers and coaches in that way, just wanting to read their material. And so certainly it's like having a upgraded business card, right? If you want to write a book about your business, and that's what I did. I mean, it's certainly something you can do, and you're taking all your expertise and putting it into a book that now can be a great freebie and an income source on Amazon, and another way for people to come to you. So it acts as a lead magnet.
I think it definitely gives credibility.
Yeah, for sure.
If you've written a book and you're a #1 bestseller on Amazon, and it really sets you apart from everybody else. So if you're a coach that's thinking about that, that would be a great piece to add to build your reputation.
For sure. Yeah. And like you said, your credibility, you're putting down your knowledge onto filling those pages. So someone can step into working with you before they even get to knock on your door. It's an introduction to you.
Well, let's take just a moment, and I'd like to hear a little bit about me. Now, did you come to me to work with me, and what was that all about, and how was that process? And if you could share a little bit about that, that would be great.
Well, your reputation precedes you. I had a friend who I was in certification with, and she was just having outstanding success. She would tell you, that's my friend Jo Mettenberg, and she would say that you helped breathe life into her business. And I was like, hold on, I need some life breathed into my business. And so I was quite interested in launching a program, a group coaching program. And so by coming to work with you, I had like this raw material of an idea, right? And I came up with the idea of November Novel to run alongside NaNoWriMo before our first meeting, like that morning, because I was getting ready. I wanted to make sure I had something to work with you on. And so even anticipating working with you. I hear you're this great coach and you're going to help me. So I know, I better bring it. And so then you help me like strategize for a launch and build confidence in my copy. I felt really good putting myself out there into the world, even though I was visible as an author, being visible as a coach in this way was different. And you helped me feel really confident to step into that. And then I launched November Novel, which had a great turnout. I was just tickled with the response that I got and the ability to coach these writers. So, and then you helped me kind of walk through that and refine my branding and my program. The benefits are huge from being able to work with you. I'm so grateful.
Well, and I'm grateful because Jane does the work. I love it when I work with clients who are actually willing to step in and do what it takes. So she was working full-time, kids, husband, writing a book. In, I think, 3 weeks' time, you launched this program. We wrote all of the emails for an official launch. She had not written any emails. She didn't have an email list. She'd never used any flow desk, any technology, any of that stuff, you guys. We did that we met 3 times and she did all of that, followed the, my guide and instructions and all of the things that she did to make that really possible. She's right. Since that time, then once you do something, in your business, then we're able to assess it and really refine it and figure out what we need to do better and what needs to change. And now, do you want to share a little bit about how you see your business going forward and the opportunities people have to work with you now?
Sure. But I would just like to say, Debbie does a lot of the legwork for you. Like that's what she did for me. So when I was like, I need to send a series of emails, then she could say, oh, Flowdesk is excellent. Oh, this software is terrific. Oh, I really love this. No, that's too complicated. So she's kind of some guardrails. So I can just put all the energy into the creating the program as opposed to, oh, crud, I have to research these email vendors or so that's a lot of the, I just love that part about working with Debbie because she was able to help me streamline, which is why I can get so much done. As far as working with me, I have a ongoing program that is available it's called Novel in 90. It runs throughout the year. I'll help you write a book in 90 days. If you want to do it faster, you can. There's a video teaching every week that's deployed every week. And there's a membership site you can log into. And then you have coaching available to you. And you can just schedule it for the time that works best for you. And we meet one-on-one every week. And I'll take you all the way through that process of the idea to the end. Like me with Debbie, you got to do the work, but I'll help you. I'll help you so that when you get stuck, you don't stay stuck. When you're not sure what to do, then we'll figure out what to do next. And it's really awesome getting to the end. It's pretty incredible.
I do have, you guys, some other clients of mine that worked with Jane in this. And I will tell you what Jane talks about doing and how she helps you really does work. And people have been blown away at what they were able to accomplish and what they were able to finally do that they wanted to do because they had her help. So I know what you do works because I know these people firsthand. So anyway, congratulations on your success. I can't imagine what this next year is going to bring for you. And I just want to say, coaches, if you're listening to this and you have just this itch to find out about, this desire, this idea that you think you want to do, you're wondering, you're intimidated by it, or maybe you've thought about it for so long, don't put that on the back burner. Just have a conversation with Jane to find out how can she support you. Just find out if what she has to offer could work for you, and then make a plan, to see how it could work together, the two of you guys to bring your book to life. So how can somebody find you? What's their next step to get with you?
I have you can step in a couple different ways. My website is musecoaching.net, and you can subscribe to the weekly blog post. If you're interested in talking story with me and just kind of telling me about your novel, I would love to hear about it, or your book for your client, right? I have experience with fiction and nonfiction. Set up a discovery call. We could have a chat. I think that's one of the most fun things to do. Like I said, my book by book, is going to be out in the next 6 weeks or so. And so that'll be a place where you could gain some extra support if you want. And then I have a podcast coming. So there's some future things bubbling, but if you're ready to jump in right away today, go to the website and schedule a discovery call. I'd love to talk to you.
All right. Jane, thank you so much. It's my honor to be able to coach you, and also just so much fun to see the results that you're creating for other people as you've helped them achieve their dreams too. I cannot wait to see what all happens. So you guys, don't mess around. If you want to write a book, or if you have an idea, like she said, that you want to share for a story, then get with her, get on her calendar, and have a discovery call so you can talk about your book too.
Thanks, Debbie.
All right, you guys, have an amazing week. Until next time, bye-bye. All right, my friends, are you ready to get more clients? Let's go do it. Have an amazing week. And if you guys want that business assessment, I want to help you with your business. DebbieShadid.com/let's chat, LETSCHAT, for a free business assessment. Until next time, bye-bye.